Should be.
Yeah, I agree.
Who's that?
I feel like I don't have enough room here.
Yeah.
I need like,
More, yeah, elbow.
You can pull that chair out and just crowd in the middle of it and have a
so I need to break out 6.
Yeah. Good evening. It is 5:30, so we're going to call the Ottumwa Board of Health meeting to order. I'd remind you to turn your cell phones to vibrator silence, and then let's stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Chris, would you go ahead and take the roll, please?
Councilmember Dalby,
Here.
Councilmember Rowe,
Here.
Councilmember Stevens,
Here.
Councilmember Strebe,
Here.
Councilmember Berg,
Here.
Mayor Lazio.
Here.
Approve the minutes from meeting number 7 on March 20th, 2018 as presented. Recommendation, approve the minutes.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg.
Yes.
This is a time, place, and date set to consider condemnation of the structures of a lot located at 210 North Caldwell.
Good evening, Kevin. You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. The structure, 210 North Caldwell, the property was placarded on October 19th, 2016. As a result, the house of the house being occupied without a water service, at some time after the placarding, the house caught on fire. The owner was not been able to clean the fire damage up, and therefore the staff is recommending condemnation and removal of the remaining structure and debris.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to address this item? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Councilmember Berg.
Yes.
Condemn the structures located at 210 North Caldwell, order prompt demolition, removal, and leveling of the lot, and direct all costs attendant to such actions, including administrative cost, to be assessed against the property and/or collected from the owner or owners thereof. Recommendation, approve the condemnation of the structures located at 210 North Caldwell.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Holly.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Councilmember Berg.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there any other business for the Board of Health tonight? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn the Board of Health.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens,
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg.
Yes.
Okay, we'll proceed into the regular city council meeting. We need to take a new roll, so if you would do that, Chris.
Councilmember Berg,
Here.
Councilmember Dalby,
Here.
Councilmember Rowe,
Here.
Councilmember Stevens,
Here.
Councilmember Strebe,
Here.
Mayor Lazio.
Here.
Items on the consent agenda. Minutes from regular meeting number 14 on April 17th and its special meeting number 15 on April 24th, 2018 as presented. Mayor's proclamation of the month of May as National Historic Preservation Month. Appointment of Duke Ball to the Airport Advisory Board, term to expire 10/1/2019. Canvasser and solicitor applications for American Legion Auxiliary to collect donations for Poppy Week for veterans on 5/21 through 5/28/2018 at various businesses within the city. Authorize mayor to sign contract with SQ Scientific Consulting for work on Headworks Project Phase 2 and Phase 3 for their professional services in connection with the water pollution control facility issues. Authorize payment to Hall and Associates, Washington, D.C. in the amount of $3,570.85 for the professional services in connection with the City of Ottumwa CSO issues for the month of March. Resolution number 110, 2018, setting the date for a public hearing to consider the sale of city-owned property located at Lot 41 in William Craner's addition to Hillsborough Inlet LLC. Resolution number 111, 2018, setting the date for a public hearing to consider the sale of city-owned property located at Lot 40 in William Craner's addition, also known as 519 Clarence Street, to Hillsborough Inlet LLC. Resolution number 114, 2018, authorizing renewal and administrative services agreement between Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Iowa and the City of Ottumwa, effective July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2019. Resolution number 120, 2018, approving the contract bond and certificate of insurance for the North Ferry Street and Albia Road Modern Roundabout Project. Beer and/or liquor applications for Joe Burger at 319 East Main Street, pending DRAM submission. Smokin' Joe's, 618 Church Street. Fraternal Order of the Eagles, Ottumwa, number 114, 109 South Green Street. Takira Ukalita, 624 East Main Street. All applications pending final inspections.
Your Honor, I'd make the motion that we approve the consent agenda with the removal of B6 and B10 to each be voted on individually.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the consent agenda excluding B6 and B10 and to do those individually. Any other comments? Okay, take the roll.
Councilmember Byrd?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Okay, let's take B6 first.
Move the approval of B6 with the amendment that the expense is $24,089.34.
Okay, thank you, Holly. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Byrd?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Thank you. Okay, B10. Who wants to address that? I'm looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion or comments? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Byrd?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
No.
Councilmember Rowe?
No.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2.
Your Honor, I have a question on another item in there.
Sure.
Item number 7, could we get the date or the address of that?
Lot 41,
It's adjacent to.
519 Clarence. So it'd be adjacent property to that. I'm not sure what the exact number is. We can get that for you after.
one listed in the legal.
Wasn't one. So is it 2 lots together? Okay,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I understand. Thank you.
you bet. Okay, item C is approval of tonight's agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Byrd?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's move to reports from city officers, and I'd like to call on City Administrator Andy Morris, who will give us a number of items to go through.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. You'll see items that are listed under reports. And in addition to that, I've added a couple of items, which I believe I've shared with the news media and members of council. The very first one I want to point out, the Hometown Rewards kickoff event. Actually, there will be a meeting of the volunteers, the folks working on that particular project tomorrow evening, a prep for Hometown Rewards, but the actual kickoff event will take place on the 3rd. And that begins at 4 p.m. again at Bridgeview Center. As I've mentioned in previous council meetings, the CBB formula for discussion, and I know that Melissa Little and some of the folks at CBB have sent out emails to council on this particular subject. That will be voted on at the next council meeting, which is the 15th of May. The community meeting, we try and schedule 3 of these a year. The very first one will be at Bridgeview. That will be at 6 p.m. and that will be on the 9th of May. Special council meeting, bond sale, as you will note, the day before that is on the 8th, and that's a matter that Bob J. is working with our friends and associates at Spear Financial. If you have any questions on that, please let either myself or Bob J. know about that. Special council meeting, the downtown parking study, that will be discussed at the May 22nd meeting at 5:30. Again, that is a special meeting, and because it's a special meeting, no legislative decisions will be made that night. A couple of other items I want to add briefly. One of them relates to, first of all, the website. I want to give you an update on that one. I've had some correspondence with Brian McMillan, our friends at Neapolitan Labs. That website is quite frankly ready to be put into what he refers to a soft launch. Anyway, he wants to put that in front of council on the 15th. On the 8th, however, as I've discussed previously with council, what he's going to do is give the prototype and put that in front of staff. Staff will look at that first, and then after staff tweaks it, questions or comments, anything such as that, and he corrects those, addresses those, then it'll be put in front of council again on that day on the 15th. So hopefully staff will work out any bugs to that. That is the protocol that he set up. I think it makes sense, and that's certainly the one we're following. So again, be ready to see the contract for services at the meeting on the 15th.
Sorry to interrupt. By soft launch, do you mean they're replacing the current website and they're just not advertising, or will it be like an FTP site that we can go to and view the site before it's actually launched?
Well, that's good. That's a good point. What my understanding is, based on my correspondence conversations with him, this is going to be a prototype for staff to look at, and at that point, we will be in an environment where we can make certain updates.
So it will not be a live launch.
No, he referred to that. I'm using his language. He referred to it as a soft launch, but you're right that it's not going to really be officially launched until council approves the contract going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. The other items to bring to your attention, Bell Park. As some of you may or may not recall, there have been some conversations, certainly with Gene Ratchey. He's played a lead role in this, and I played a part in as well. And that is the issue about having a open space trail within Bell Park. We have a meeting set up, a community meeting on the 10th of May. If I said March, I was incorrectly, in May. My preference would have been to have had the neighborhood meeting in advance before I'm announcing this in front of the public, in front of everyone. We are going to have this meeting still. Gene has put together some flyers to notify folks in that the neighborhood of what conceivably anyway the park board has approved, but obviously we want to get as much input as possible. I believe it's fair to say Gene's put some door hangers out, and we'll meet with folks in the neighborhood. That meeting, according to my notes, is going to begin at 6 and will last approximately an hour. We're going to visit with the folks about what this open space trail will look like. I know Kevin in planning's put together 2 different prototypes for us. We'll look at both of those and put that in front of them. Again, no decisions we made that night. Simply want to put that item in front of them so they can look at it and share with us their thoughts. Finally, the comprehensive plan. You may recall the process that we staff and the mayor went through previous month anyway on the comp plan. That will be another item placed in front of council at that meeting on the 15th. In addition to that, there's some, let's just say, workshop exercises. Mr. Mayor, if it's all right with you and the council, I'd like Kevin Flanagan to speak a little bit about the strategic planning component of the comprehensive plan.
That'd be fine. Kevin, would you step the mic and give us your information?
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, we've been in conversation since we had done the interviews and sort of chose a consultant to prepare for council review. And right now, we pared those numbers down to about 148.5 on a general level as far as the contract goes. That would also include no more than 5% of a charge for reimbursables such as travel and other expenses, no more than 5% of that total. And also, we're looking at sort of including, typically with comprehensive plans, you're going to have the different elements, and at the very end of that process, in the document itself, you're going to have the implementation element. And so, what we looked at is kind of including a strategic planning light, if you will, version of that implementation section of the plan. And that would require about a couple of split days, or maybe one whole day where we split it into two pieces, probably a couple of split days because of how we'll be able to work it out with all the members of both the council and staff. And we'll be doing some team building exercise there, and also some strategic planning to pare down what we feel like would be 2 or 3 very accomplishable and pragmatic goals that we set for ourselves over that next 5 years of what we would call a realistic planning period, which would be larger goals, of course, much like our sewer planning that we've been doing. And so we thought we would try to tag that in here with a comprehensive plan, a little bit of a strategic planning initiative as well. That would come with right now, it's negotiated around a $9,000 additional expense, but we'll be bringing that to you in our next meeting for consideration. And I'd entertain any questions that any members may have.
Any questions? Okay, we'll look for that in our packet then.
And Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything else.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Okay, item E is a chance for anybody in the audience that wants to address an item on the agenda. And I think we have one person, Brenda Case. If you'd like to step to the microphone. Introduce yourself, please.
Not as tall as the last person, apparently. Hi, I'm Brenda Case. I'm the current chairperson of the Historic Preservation Commission. The members of the commission, I want to offer our thanks to Mayor Lazio for proclaiming May Historic Preservation Month in Ottumwa. Ottumwa has many beautiful historic properties that are worthy of our attention and our care. Right now, we have 15 individual properties and 8 districts listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Being listed is a great honor that starts at the local level, first identified by the HPC. A nomination is created, presented to the city council. With their approval, it moves to the state level with the State Historic Preservation Office, and then to be approved by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, which is part of the National Park Service. So we've achieved this status for Ottumwa 23 times. In recent years, the Historic Preservation Commission has held trolley tours of historic districts, including 5th Street Bluffs and Court Hill Historic Districts, the Ottumwa Cemetery and Vogel Place, and we hosted a grand opening of the Greater 2nd Street Historic District. In celebration of Historic Preservation Month this year, we'll be contributing articles to the Ottumwa Courier on what exactly is the Historic Preservation Commission, how to get a property listed on the National Register of Historic Places, which Ottumwa properties are currently listed, and some myths and facts about what being listed means. The members of the commission and I want to thank City Planning and Development Director Kevin Flanagan, under whose department the HPC is organized, for his support and the generous support of his staff members, Isaac Paisley, who attends all of our meetings, and Peggy Eskew, who kind of, I think, keeps things running, basically. She's a wealth of information. But on behalf of the commissioners, Joyce Kramer, who's with me tonight, Fred Zessiger, John Olinger, and Connie Ferguson, thank you.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate the effort you do to keep our buildings looking good and getting them recognized. We have some outstanding architecture in this community, so appreciate all the work, and good to see you, Joyce. Okay, let's move to item F.
Bid review and contract award for the water service abandonment and demolition of 420 Herman Avenue. Recommendation, award the contract for water service abandonment and demolition to Environmental Edge in the amount of $5,700.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendations presented.
Second. Thank you. Good evening, Kevin. You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bids for the demolition of water service and abandonment, 420 Herman Avenue, were accepted until 2 p.m. April 24th, 2018. 4 bids were received. Environmental Edge was the best bidder with a sum of $5,700. Staff recommends awarding the contract.
Okay. Any questions for Kevin? You have a sheet in your packet. Okay. Take the roll.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens,
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Review and approve Ottumwa Public Safety Advisory Board recommendations of April 16th, 2018. Recommendation: approve Ottumwa Public Safety Advisory Board recommendations.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented, Your Honor.
Second.
Thank you. Larry or Chief, who's going to address? All right. I might mention while you're looking for your notes, I did sit in on that meeting for a few minutes, and it was a lively discussion. And I think it's one of our more active committees. They have some, at times, challenging suggestions from our citizens, and this was certainly one of them. So Larry, give us some background and tell us what you're going to recommend.
Thanks, Mayor, Council. City staff discussed the attached request on March 7th, 2018. The Ottumwa Public Safety Advisory Board reviewed and approved the attached recommendations on April 16th, 2018. Our first request was a citizen that had actually a young son that was in an accident at the intersection by Tractor Supply on 149 and the North Court frontage roads. That particular intersection has had a few accidents over the years. It's not ideal when it was put in and configured in the mid 60s. We did cover, and we have hired 2 different engineering firms. One went through the city and was a grant program through DOT. We took advantage of those hours and a traffic engineer to do a study and make recommendations, along with the chamber had initiated a study separate from ours that covered not only that intersection, but other entrances within the industrial park that they plan to expand or are in the process of. Our recommendation is to do some of the low-hanging fruit as we describe it at that intersection. There isn't really a reasonable solution for that. There isn't enough right of way. First of all, it's not our jurisdiction. It's a joint jurisdiction, but the DOT has the right of way in that area and the ultimate say. We are going to move some location of signs. We are going to add some additional standard signs, move some speed limit signs. That's not going to resolve if you turn from being shadowed by other vehicles. So I guess our recommendation would be to do the low-hanging fruit on that particular one. A second item was residents are concerned about the safety of three-way stop at Pennsylvania and Elm. This is kind of a recurring theme that we've had over the years. There was a lot of engineering and input went into that original Pennsylvania Elm Street corridor design. We looked at traffic signals. We looked at a lot of different options. We actually did lower that intersection almost 3 feet. We reconfigured the profile on Pennsylvania. We did tie back on Elm. I don't remember the exact distance, 150 feet each way to help line of sight. We have done sight triangles. That is the best. What's there is the best for the condition and the grade when you take into consideration winter conditions and all the other factors. Our recommendation is to leave it as is. I think a lot of times citizens don't understand, and it could be possibly confusing to out of town if you're used to 4 ways only. But again, what is there now is the best that we can do for that intersection. Third request was to do dual named at the airport. The board recommended going ahead and improving that condition on if there's not a lot of confusion, if we get a lot of complaints in the future from addresses from the dual names, they'd be removed. But at this time, we recommend going ahead and put dual names. And what they're wanting to do is go back to the Battle Street names that was originally at the air base, at the naval base. The fourth one was a request for a stop sign be placed at a crosswalk at Chester and Pocahontas. We did work with the school personnel. We made a recommendation through both boards that they do the rollout sign only and not put a permanent stop. The school's in agreement with that, and they will do a rollout sign along with, we're going to install what we did on Mary Street as far as stop signs that can be turned on the side. The one in the middle, of course, is the most observable by the traffic, and when you do something that's temporary, you want it in the center where people absolutely see it. They want people to be able to walk across. They'll do some reconfiguration of how they park their buses and leave a gap between them, and that's up to the school to do that portion. A request was submitted for the lights at Quincy Avenue and Highway 34 be changed to allow a left turn signal when you are on the north. Southbound traffic on Quincy has the right of way. The individual, again, this is one that comes up, seems like biannually. When you configure a traffic signal, you have to look at all your turning movements, total traffic counts, number of lanes, and you have to weigh that against total phase and timing. If you add a dedicated turn signal, you increase the total length. One of the things that we fight already is the stacking of our turn lanes, especially when you're westbound. All of that is always a balance. You know, it seems like you build one of these based on traffic counts at that time, and it's not sufficient as your traffic patterns change over time, depending on how retail and other businesses develop, and that kind of phases in and out. Our recommendation on that was to deny the request to add. And again, there's been a lot of different studies, and those type of signals, it's not uncommon to be reviewed every couple years. Again, signals have to be, the timing has to be approved through Department of Transportation. It is their primary system, but anytime you add signals, then it becomes the local jurisdiction's responsibility to maintain and operate. So that one was denied.
Okay, are there any questions for Larry?
Mr. Mayor, I had just one. Larry, when you look at this one, just struck me, item number 3, the airport advisory board and the signs. And again, my understanding is they'll have the name of the street and then the, I guess, memorialized name, what the street was named before. But it mentions in here, signs must be smaller in size and different color. If you're going to be putting the names of 2 streets on one of these, why would you not go to either a regular or a larger sign? It's just I'm trying to
typically the street, the actual name of the street that would also be used for your mailing address and your official address. That's larger on top. Smaller one, very similar to Bulldog Avenue, that's on 2nd or Turner Drive. That's down by the waterworks plant. You put them on the bottom, and I guess that's typically the order that you see.
But these smaller signs then you'll be able to house them and people will be able to see as opposed to like a regular sign? Just as
right.
well?
It's not going to be so small you have to get out and walk up to the sign, but it's slightly smaller than the actual name of the street.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions, comments?
I got a question. With number 1, with the turn lane or the intersection on 63, do you suspect looking at that again as industry moves hopefully into the industrial park at the new certified site when that's completed? I know there's concerns from the Ottumwa Economic Development Corporation on that.
Right. And I believe they're going to bring a presentation from their study, a recommendation for a secondary entrance that's just south of that. Again, that would have to be approved by the DOT. And at this time, of course, they don't have any type of project program or funded for that area. So the financial cost would be entirely paid by the city or a combination of the local businesses in the city.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. So at this time, we have a motion to approve the recommendations as presented. Are you ready to vote? Take the roll.
Councilmember Byrd,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens,
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Approve grant application to the Bureau of Justice Assistance to participate in the 2018 Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program and authorize the mayor to sign any related documents as may be required. Recommendation: approve submission of the grant application and authorize mayor to sign any related documents as may be required.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Good evening, Chief McAndrew. You have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Our bulletproof vests have a lifespan of 5 years. As a result, the department currently budgets for the purchase of 5 to 10 vests per year, depending on the need. The grant will cover purchases made between April 1st, 2018 and August 31st of 2020. The Bureau of Justice Assistance has established a Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program in order to assist law enforcement agencies with purchasing bulletproof vests for their officers. The program will continue or will reimburse up to 50% of the cost of vests after they've been purchased. The actual percentage of reimbursement will be determined at a later date and will depend on the number of total applications. The application and reimbursement process is conducted over the internet. The application will request 14 vests in the amount of $10,066 for a possible reimbursement of $5,033.
Any questions for the chief? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Byrd,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens,
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the proposed amendment to the 2018 city budget.
Good evening, Bob. You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. A public hearing is required for citizen comments prior to the consideration of amending the budget for fiscal year 2018. The budget is being amended for police overtime increase, the Hobby Lobby payment, legal fees, Blackbird projects, the street improvement deferrals, runway expansion, landfill cell development, investment income and increase, roundabout construction, Main Street and CDB grant pass-through to Ottumwa Waterworks. This amendment will not increase the property tax levy.
This is a public hearing, so if there's anyone in the audience that wants to address this item, now's the time to step to the microphone. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Yeah.
Councilmember Byrd,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens,
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Resolution number 93, 2018, amending the annual budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018. Recommendation: pass and adopt Resolution 93, 2018.
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Byrd,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Nice job on your summary, too.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the sale of city-owned property located at 414 North Wapello.
Kevin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pam Martin offered the city $250,000. Wow, that would have been a lot of money to offer. $250, not $250,000. $250. Yeah, we'll take it. Mom said.
I wish Motion and a second. Are you ready to vote? Okay, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the sale of city-owned property located at 2433 East Main Street.
You're up again, Kevin.
Thank you, Your Honor. 2433 East Main Street, we're recommending the sale to Justin Sauer for the sum of $555, and he was the sole bidder. So we're recommending adoption of Resolution 118, 2018 to that purpose.
This also is a public hearing, so if there's anyone that wants to address this item, now's the time to step up. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Resolution number 118, 2018, accepting the bid and approving the sale of city-owned property located at 2433 East Main Street to Justin Sauer for the sum of $555. Recommendation: pass and adopt resolution number 118, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second. Thank you.
Mayor, I have a quick question.
Sure.
for Kevin. Kevin, can you explain to the public and I guess for our own edification, how this process works when homes are placarded and evidently the owners, the original owners, aren't able to bring it up to code? How does that process work, and what's the length of time that it takes to have it become available for sale to other bidders?
Well, typically, we try to take some time and try to give the opportunity to the owners in a placarded situation to repair that. At some point, if it's not possible, over about a year's time or maybe a slight extension of that time for the owner to be able to make the reparations that we find necessary to get it into operability, the city will unfortunately take the process forward to take possession of that home. If that happens, then we look at these homes, and some of them, of course, we have them over a 2-year period. If the city does own those homes over a 2-year period and we sell those for $500, or I'm sorry, under a 2-year period, we sell them for $500 or $250. The lesser amount being you're contiguous to that lot. If we've owned it longer than 2 years, that amount comes down a little bit, whether it's more $250 or $125 if you are, I believe, if you're contiguous to it. So, and those, of course, are like the one we looked at just a moment ago, are going to be used as yard space, basically, by the contiguous lots. But in the cases where we're selling lots, we go forward and we advertise the lots for the 30-day period. We take in the bids for the lots. We have open bidding process. We receive bids. In some cases, we'll receive 3 to 4 bids for those. Usually a lot of the actions are going to be driven by an interested bidder. You have a bidder, and so that's kind of okay, we'll move forward with this one. And we undertake those public processes to make sure and ensure that if anyone else in the community is interested in those lots, that they have that opportunity to bid as well. Transparency being the case. And so most of the time you don't wind up in a situation where that's much competitive bidding, because the person who's interested is really the only person looking at it, such as in the case of one of our situations tonight, obviously. So we go forward and then we come to you, bring those cases forward, and you guys make that decision. And the key here, I think, is we're turning these lots over into private hands, and immediately they're going back on the tax rolls. And so they're benefiting all public entities the minute that happens. I mean, with the city owning these lots isn't doing much of anyone any good. So,
All right. Thank you.
yeah.
And I think just for, again, clarification and for public awareness, these are published in the local newspaper.
They are, yeah.
And anybody could bid on it, and we do ask for a sealed bid, so.
And 657A and all that with the state code. So, yeah, very above board, very transparent. We try to be as transparent as possible. Of course, we've got sort of a different situation with some of our commercial type lots, but still, even in those cases, 30 days out there, competitive bidding, published in the newspaper. So yeah, I mean, we feel like we're we're taking every step we can to avail the community of the information of what's going on with these opportunities, and to allow everybody to take part if they wish.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, so the motion has been made and seconded to pass the resolution 118, 2018. Are you ready to vote? Take the roll.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
This is the time, place, and date set for a public hearing on the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost of the apron improvements at the Ottumwa Regional Airport project.
Okay. We're going to ask Andy Morris, City Administrator, to make some comments.
Thank you, Mayor. As you can see, dictated in the staff summary, this is a public hearing on the proposed plan specifications and form of contract estimate for the cost of improvements to the apron. These are not specific to the runway, my understanding, but apron improvements. As you will note, listed below in the source of funds, 85% contribution from IDOT in terms of taking care of this cost. Ours is 15. Had Kevin been able to sell that lot to Mrs. Martin for $250,000, I'm quite confident that 15% would be significantly reduced. But it's not, and we don't want that to be. But again, it's a 15% contribution. As Bob J. and I have talked about, we have a healthy fund balance. And if you have any other questions or comments, we'd be happy to entertain those at this time.
This is a public hearing also, so if there's anyone in the audience who wants to address this item, now's the time to come to the microphone. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Resolution number 119, 2018, approving the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the apron improvements at Ottumwa Regional Airport project. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 119, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Andy or Bob or anybody else on staff? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Resolution number 121, 2018, approving change order number 2 for the beach renovations Phase 2, Contract A, concrete repairs. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 121, 2018.
We have with us Gene Ratchey, who's our Parks Director. So Gene, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. The City Council approved the contract in the amount of $360,315 to Turner Concrete Construction of Ottumwa, Iowa through Resolution Number 159-2017 on July 18th, 2017 for Contract A, concrete repairs for the beach renovations Phase 2 project. Change order number 1 was approved January 16th, 2018 and consists of finalizing quantities resulting in a decrease to the contract amount of $3,496.99. Change order number 2 consists of additional concrete deck repairs needed to repair water leaks under the decking and pool floor for an additional cost of $3,018. Completion date remains May 18th, 2018. So the revised contract amount is $359,836.01. And the revised contractual amounts for this phase, $680,843.26.
Should all have that in your packet. Any questions for Gene? Okay, take the roll.
Now, I know I wasn't asleep this time.
Better have a motion first.
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, any questions now for Gene? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Resolution number 122, 2018, approving change order number 4 for the beach renovations Phase 2, Contract C, boiler HVAC equipment repairs project. Recommendation, pass and adopt resolution number 122, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Go ahead, Gene.
The city council approved the contract in the amount of $92,895 to Maher Plumbing and Heating of Ottumwa, Iowa through resolution number 179-2017 on August 15th, 2017 for contract C boiler and HVAC equipment repairs for the beach renovations Phase 2 project. Council approved change order number 1 through number 3 in the corresponding amounts of $848, $3,550, and $900, totaling $5,298 for additional thermostats and repairs to the piping manifold. So the revised contract amount is $102,996.95. And then the revised contractual amount is $685,647.21.
Okay, any questions for Gene on that item?
I must be missing something here, but the three amounts don't add up to $5,298. Am I missing something there?
Yeah, I left out change order number 4, which consists of tracing and repairing a water leak in the piping under the kiddie pool in the amount of $4,803.95. That's where the additional amount came from.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, it's on the second page, it's broken out. Thank you. Okay, any other questions for Gene? Good catch. Okay, if there's no other questions, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Resolution number 113, 2018, approving the 3-year lease agreement with the Iowa Department of Administrative Services on behalf of the Department of Inspection and Appeals, Child Advocacy Board, and the CASA program from July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2021 for the rent of rooms 300 and 301 at City Hall. Recommendation: pass and adopt resolution number 113, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Andy?
I don't have anything on that, Mayor. It's pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to field those.
I have a question, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
It seems to me like this rent is very reasonable. This is, this kind of sprung up on us. I wasn't aware of when the lease was up. I think this deserves more discussion myself.
Mr. Mayor and Councilman Stevens, is it a question of the amount of the lease? Is that what you want staff to look into?
Yes.
Okay. We can certainly do that.
Okay, so there is a duly made motion and second. So if you vote, we need to either vote it up or vote it down. If you vote it down, then we could ask staff to bring it back with a different recommendation. So are you clear what you're voting on? Okay, take the roll.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
No.
Councilmember Strebe?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1. Okay, thank you.
Ordinance number 3142, 2018, amending the municipal code of the city of Ottumwa, Iowa by changing the zoning classification on certain property located between Rochester and Bonita at parcel ID number 742-155-012-4000 and parcel ID number 742-155-011-4000 from R1 to R4 in the city of Ottumwa, Wapello County, Iowa. The first consideration of ordinance number 3142, 2018 was approved by council on April 17, 2018. Recommendation: pass the second consideration of ordinance number 3142, 2018.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Holly. Kevin, do you want to make some comments, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a consideration for rezoning from R1 to R4. The project would be capped at currently in the planning stages, of course, but would capped at about 52 units, possibly with an emphasis on senior housing. market rate projects so far as considerations have gone at this point. Still a local developer and still under consideration as far as the overall project, but that's kind of what we have so far.
Okay. Any questions for Kevin? Okay, and you've run this through the planning and zoning.
Yes, I should have said a unanimous approval for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions? Take the roll.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens,
Yes.
Councilmember Strebe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. At this time, we always give citizens a chance to comment on issues that are not on the agenda. And I understand there's at least one person that wants to address the council. So if you'd like to step forward. Please identify yourself.
My name is Mel Kendall. I'm the pastor at Calvary Baptist Church, which is located at 915 Overman Avenue here in Ottumwa. Back on February the 20th of this year, we had a sewer backup, and it affected about 16 of the 25 rooms that we have in our downstairs. And within just a few hours, we learned that several people in the neighborhood, 7 different properties, 7 different homes in the neighborhood were also affected by that sewer backup. And you can imagine what the damage was and imagine the amount of money that was paid. And I have a letter here from Mrs. Olson, who is present tonight. I'd like to read if that's okay.
Sure.
We moved onto Casablanca fall of 1970. No sewer problems until around 1982, give or take a year. At that time, we had 4 inches of sewer backup. Discovered that the man in charge of the sewer department had retired. He told Steve, her husband, that he knew this was a problem area, and he had us on yearly maintenance schedule. Next person in charge, I assume that means the sewer department, decided not to do that, and consequently, we have had issues on a yearly basis. We have had to call city out numerous times. City still refused to put us on yearly clean-out schedule. This year, we had 4 inches sewer backup on February 20th. A year or two ago, city decided to reline sewer tile. I was told that this was to prevent tree roots from blocking sewer, but it also narrowed the tile so there was even less flow. I feel the city needs to reimburse us for all the repairs to be able to use our basement again. This area also needs to be on a yearly clean-out schedule. Signed, Beverly and Stephen Olson.
Thank you. Are there other comments you want to make, or are there any questions you want to ask Pastor Kendall?
Mrs. Kirkland, who is also present here, has lived at her present location for 59 years, and she's never had that problem. So it's very spotty in the neighborhood. We've never had the problem since I've been there for 25 years. But our damage was $19,000. And of course, there was the recoverable depreciation, which we don't get, and then of course our deductible. So we would like the council to do something. We would like some monetary help. We would like perhaps some money to put in backwater valves. Although Mrs. Olson just told me tonight that she found out that the backwater valves are not that dependable, not 100% dependable, or we at the very least, we would like the city to promise that they will clean this out every year.
Mr. Mayor, just one point of note is this is a claim that's been turned over to ICAP, our loss control provider. So I would highly recommend council not, quite frankly, making any decisions until that claim is settled. That's why we have them for that service. Hopefully this will be repaired in a timely manner, but we have to let that process take its course and certainly need to hear back from ICAP. I would highly recommend you wait until council makes any comments on that until such time. Well,
I think in the spirit of full disclosure, Councilman Skip Stevens and I did meet with a group of residents from Casablanca and Overman Drive, and we said that very thing, Andy, that this was a situation that we have to go through our insurance process, and probably most of those will be denied. And we also said that this was the first time the council would be hearing about some of this information, and that we would not make a decision tonight about anything other than to hear your concerns. I think what we'd like to do is give our staff some opportunity to look at, are there any options? Is this an unusual set of circumstances? Is there anything we can do, or is this one of those just acts of nature that we have to deal with? So we're not asking for any action tonight as a council, but rather than have individual phone calls and letters from the group, felt it was important to give them a chance to bring it to the entire council.
Some of the folks have already heard back from the insurance agency. I personally, our church personally has not heard anything back yet, but some have already heard back and have been declined, as you mentioned. So I don't know what that means. If I assume everybody will be declined if one has been declined, but we haven't heard anything yet.
Mayor, that's a good point. Mayor, I don't want to put Bob J on the spot, but I do think it is fair to say, is it a correct statement to say, Bob, that until such time as we get the reports back from all of the claims from ICAP, it's still appropriate to, quite frankly, make no comments on this going forward? Correct. Until such time?
But normally, if one has been denied, then the rest.
That is correct. And
State code
right.
is set up that way to protect the city based off what we know.
And sir, you're correct. I've had this experience in other communities as well. All things being equal, as the mayor intimated, it does likely look like these claims will be denied. Still, we have to let that insurance process run its course until such time. I think it's fair to say that, as the mayor indicated, visit with the folks in the sewer department about what can be done to address that. But again, the issue with ICAP, I would wait for that to settle up first.
Sure. Okay, well, thank you, Mel, for speaking to the council, and thank you to the neighbors who came tonight, and we'll wait until we hear from our insurance company on all the claims, and then we'll also get our feedback from our staff. I did talk to our sewer department head, and this has been an unusual set of circumstances. There was a heavy rain the night before or the morning of the backup. And that's why we're doing some of the sewer separation, to get sanitary and stormwater separated so they don't overload our system. So sorry that happened, and we'll keep in touch with you, and we'll certainly get back in touch.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Are there any other issues that people want to bring to the attention of the council, whether it's public or council? Okay, it looks like we're going to have a busy couple of weeks here, and I just want to announce to the public that on the May 8th meeting, Councilman Dalby will serve as mayor pro tem and run that meeting.
That ought to be interesting.
So we'll see you back on the 15th. Is there any other business for the good of the city? If not, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, Bob.
I'd just like to publicly thank Dwight. He's been running this beach project, keeping everything under budget and keeping in line with all the finances. He's been just doing, I think, an outstanding job on that. So,
well, great. Thanks for saying that, Bob. And I think the improvements they speak for themselves over there. If you haven't been in the beach lately or on the cement patio outside, you can see a significant difference. And we should be real proud that's putting the beach back as one of our attractions here in the community. So thanks, Bob. Okay, anything else? Hearing none, I'd entertain that motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Matt and Victor.